I'm Zoe, and I'm so excited to help you with your English journey. If you're just starting out, you're in the right spot. Today, we're going to cover an amazing motivational story called The Weight of Perfection, which is perfect for English learners. I'd love to know what you're curious about next. Drop your ideas in the comments. Let's jump in and make learning English a fun adventure together. The Weight of Perfection. Chapter 1, The Race Against Time. Emma was always running. Not in the park or on a track, but in her life. From the moment she woke up, her mind was racing. She had a list of things to do, goals to reach, and dreams that felt just out of reach. But no matter how hard she tried, it was never enough. Every day, Emma pushed herself harder. She wanted to be the best student in her class, the best friend, and even the best daughter. She thought if she could just do everything perfectly, maybe she would finally feel good about herself. But deep down, Emma was tired. Tired of always trying to be perfect. One evening, after a long day of studying and working, Emma sat on her bed and stared at the ceiling. "Why am I never enough?" she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. She didn't know it yet, but something was about to change. Chapter 2, The Mistake. The next morning, Emma walked into school with her head held high. Today was a big day. She had a test in her hardest subject, math. She had studied for weeks, making sure she knew every detail. But halfway through the test, Emma's mind went blank. The numbers and equations on the page blurred together. Panic set in. Her hands started to shake, and sweat dripped down her forehead. "What is happening?" she thought, feeling her heart race. She tried to focus, but nothing made sense. She looked around. Everyone else seemed to be writing quickly. Emma felt her chest tighten. She had never failed a test before, and the thought of failing now terrified her. She scribbled some answers, but deep down, she knew they were wrong. When the bell rang, she handed in the paper with trembling hands. Chapter 3, The Collapse. Emma couldn't sleep that night. Thoughts of the test replayed in her mind like a broken record. "I messed up. I'm going to fail," she told herself. It felt like the world was falling apart. The next day, the test results were posted. Emma's heart pounded as she walked to the board. She scanned the list and found her score barely passing. Her heart sank. She had always been an A student, and now this? Tears welled up in her eyes, but she forced herself to smile. She couldn't let anyone see her break. But on the inside, Emma felt like she had failed at everything. Chapter 4, The Breaking Point. For the next few days, Emma hid her feelings. She acted like nothing was wrong. She kept up her perfect image, smiling and laughing with her friends. But at home, when she was alone, everything came crashing down. One evening, her mom found her crying in her room. "Emma, what's wrong?" she asked softly. "I'm a failure," Emma whispered. "I messed up my test. I can't keep up with everything, and I feel like I'm not good at anything. Her mom sat down next to her, wrapping an arm around her. Emma, you're not a failure. You're human. Those words hit Emma hard. She had been pushing herself for so long, trying to be perfect, that she forgot it was okay to make mistakes. Chapter 5: The Realization. Emma's mom shared a story. When I was your age, I failed a big exam too, she said, smiling. I thought my life was over. But it wasn't. That failure taught me something important, that it's okay to make mistakes. They help us grow. Emma listened, surprised. She had always seen her mom as perfect, never imagining she had faced failures too. Her mom continued, Emma, you're more than just your grades or achievements. You need to go easy on yourself. Those words stayed with Emma. She began to realize that her worth wasn't tied to being perfect. She could make mistakes and still be enough. Chapter 6: The Healing. Over the next few weeks, Emma started to change her mindset. She stopped obsessing over every little mistake. She gave herself permission to rest, to breathe, and to not be perfect all the time. At school, she still worked hard, but now she also took breaks. She spent more time with her friends and less time worrying about her grades. And for the first time in a long while, Emma felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. She even started a new hobby, painting. It was something she had always wanted to do, but never had time for. Now, she painted for fun, without worrying about making it perfect. Chapter 7: The Challenge. A few months later, another big exam was coming up. This time, Emma approached it differently. She studied hard, but she also made time to relax. She didn't pressure herself to get a perfect score. On the day of the exam, she felt nervous but calm. As she looked at the test, she reminded herself, it's okay if I don't get everything right. When the results came out, Emma was happy with her score. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. And more importantly, she felt proud of herself for not letting the pressure consume her. Chapter 8: The Twist. One day, Emma's teacher called her after class. Emma, I've noticed a big change in you, he said. Emma felt her heart skip a beat. Was she in trouble? I used to see you push yourself too hard, the teacher continued. But now, you seem more balanced, more confident. That's more important than any test score. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her. For the first time, she realized that others had noticed her struggle. But now, they could also see her growth. Chapter 9: The Lesson. Emma's journey taught her something valuable. Being perfect isn't the goal. What matters is being kind to yourself, especially when things go wrong. She realized that life is full of ups and downs. Sometimes, things will go smoothly, and other times, they won't. But that's okay. Emma no longer feared making mistakes. She understood that each mistake was an opportunity to learn and grow. Chapter 10: the new beginning. Emma stood in front of her class a year later, giving a presentation about personal growth. She spoke confidently, sharing her story about perfection, pressure, and learning to go easy on herself. Her classmates listened closely, and some nodded in understanding. Emma knew she wasn't alone in her struggle, and she hoped her story would help others. As she finished her presentation, Emma smiled to herself. She wasn't perfect, but she was finally at peace. And that was enough. So, how did you like the story? Have you ever felt you were being too hard on yourself? Let me know in the comments below. Today, we'll cover an amazing motivational story which is perfect if you're new to English. And don't forget to tell me in the comments what you want to learn next. Ready to get started? Let's dive in and make learning English fun. Chapter 1, The Dream. Anna had a dream. She wanted to become a famous singer. Every night, she sang in her small room, imagining herself on a big stage with bright lights. But it wasn't easy. She lived in a quiet village where no one knew about big concerts or famous singers. Every time Anna looked out of her window, she saw the same view: small houses, green fields, and the distant mountains. How will I ever make it? She asked herself. Her heart was full of hope, but also full of doubt. One day, Anna told her best friend, Sarah, about her dream. "I want to sing in front of thousands of people," she said. Sarah smiled but shook her head. "It sounds like a beautiful dream, Anna," Sarah said, "but it will take time. You have to be patient." Anna didn't want to wait. She wanted her dream to come true right now. Chapter 2, The Opportunity. Weeks passed, and Anna grew more impatient. She felt like she was running out of time. One afternoon, she saw a flyer in town. It read, "Singing Contest. Winner gets a chance to perform in the city." Anna's heart raced. This was her chance. She signed up immediately, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. She imagined herself winning the contest, standing on stage, and hearing the crowd cheer for her. It felt so real in her mind. But then, doubt crept in. "What if I'm not good enough?" she whispered to herself. "What if I lose?" She decided to practice as much as she could, but the fear of failure wouldn't leave her. Chapter 3, The Big Day. The day of the contest arrived. Anna stood backstage, her hands shaking. She peeked through the curtains and saw the other contestants. They looked so confident, and their voices sounded beautiful during the warm-up. Anna felt her stomach turn. "Maybe I'm not ready," she thought. "Maybe I should give up." But then, she remembered the late nights she spent singing in her room. She remembered the feeling of hope, the dream she held so close to her heart. "I've come this far," she told herself. "I can't give up now." When her name was called, Anna took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. Chapter 4, The Performance. As Anna stood on the stage, the bright lights blinded her for a moment. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest. Her throat felt tight, and her hands were sweaty. The music began to play. Anna closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She started to sing. At first, her voice was shaky. But as she sang, something changed. She felt the music, the emotions, the dream she had been holding on to for so long. Her voice grew stronger, and soon, she was lost in the song. When she finished, there was silence. Anna's heart sank. Had she failed? Then, the audience erupted in applause. Tears filled Anna's eyes. She had done it. Chapter 5: The Disappointment. But the victory didn't last long. When the judges announced the winners, Anna's name wasn't called. She didn't even make it to the top 3. Anna's heart broke. She had given her best, but it wasn't enough. She left the stage with tears in her eyes, feeling crushed. Outside the theater, Sarah was waiting for her. "How did it go?" she asked, her eyes full of hope. "I lost," Anna said, her voice trembling. "I wasn't good enough." Sarah hugged her tightly. "Just because you didn't win doesn't mean you're not good enough, Anna. It just means your time hasn't come yet." But Anna couldn't shake the feeling of failure. She wanted her dream now. Chapter 6: The Hard Lesson. Weeks passed, and Anna's disappointment grew heavier. She stopped singing in her room. She avoided thinking about the contest or her dream. She was tired of waiting, tired of trying. One evening, while walking by the river, Anna met an old man sitting on a bench. His face was full of wrinkles, and his eyes sparkled with wisdom. "You look troubled, young one," he said gently. "I had a dream," Anna confessed. "But I don't think it will ever come true." The old man smiled. "Dreams don't happen overnight. They take time, patience, and hard work." Anna sighed. "But I've already worked so hard. I don't want to wait anymore." The old man nodded. "Good things come to those who wait. Patience isn't about waiting. It's about keeping faith while you wait." Chapter 7: A New Start. Anna thought about the old man's words. Maybe he was right. Maybe her dream wasn't over. Maybe she just needed to be patient. She started singing again, but this time, something was different. She wasn't in a hurry. She wasn't chasing fame or trying to prove herself. She sang because she loved it. Every day, she practiced, learning new songs, and perfecting her voice. She didn't worry about when or how her dream would come true. She focused on the present, on getting better, little by little. And slowly, Anna began to feel a new sense of hope. She realized that success doesn't always come when we want it. Sometimes, it takes longer than we expect. Chapter 8: The Unexpected Call. Months passed, and Anna continued to work on her singing. She started performing at small events in her village. People began to notice her talent, and her confidence grew. One day, while she was at home, her phone rang. It was from a man she didn't know. "Is this Anna?" he asked. "I saw you sing at a local event, and I was impressed. I'm organizing a talent show in the city. Would you like to audition?" Anna couldn't believe it. She had never expected this call. Her hands trembled as she said yes. This was her second chance, but this time, she was different. She wasn't rushing. She was ready to take her time. Chapter 9: The Audition. The day of the audition came, and Anna felt nervous again, but not the same way she had before. This time, she wasn't worried about winning or losing. She was focused on giving her best, on showing how far she had come. When she stepped on the stage, she felt calm. She sang with all her heart, pouring every emotion into the song. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was singing because she loved it. When she finished, the judges looked at her in silence. Anna held her breath, unsure of what they would say. Then, one of them smiled. "You have something special, Anna. We'd like to offer you a spot in the show." Anna's heart soared. Her patience was finally paying off. Chapter 10: The Reward. A few months later, Anna stood on the biggest stage she had ever seen. The lights were brighter, the audience larger, and the stakes higher than ever. But Anna wasn't afraid. She had waited for this moment. She had worked hard for it. And now, she was ready. As she sang, she felt the weight of her journey, the failures, the doubts, the lessons in patience. And with every note, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. When the performance ended, the audience rose to their feet, cheering for her. Tears streamed down Anna's face, but this time, they were tears of joy. She had learned the most important lesson of all: good things truly come with patience. So, how did you like the story? Have you ever felt being judged in your life?